everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Ascent Meridian Technology Center's live stream. My name is Julie Griffin, and I'm a project manager here in our Workforce and Economic Development Division. I'm super excited to be with you again and to introduce you to one of my amazing friends and coworkers, Miss Cara Adney. She is one of our project managers here over film and special projects. She is going to enlighten us about all things film in Oklahoma. So without further ado, I'll bring out Miss Cara Adney.
Hello.
Hello, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. And for all of you out there watching in either LinkedIn land or Facebook or YouTube, because I think we've got it paired and streaming lots of places, please make sure and drop a comment in the chat box or in the comments so that we know you are here. Like LinkedIn tells us that we have eyeballs watching us, but we don't know who's here unless you drop a comment. So Erica, thank you for watching. Chris, thank you for joining us. Chris is a longtime live stream supporter and guru. Erica is another fellow Meridian person. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you supporting us in our show. So Cara, we only got 30 minutes, and
I know.
I burned a couple at the beginning already. So
I was going to message if I could get those 3 minutes back, but
well, hey, if we need to go to 12:33, I will allow it, since that
Thank
was
you.
totally my bad. So, we've got Levi here too. Just eyeballs with Levi. Okay, perfect. Thanks for being here, Levi. So, Cara, just take it away. Kind of, if you want to start with like how we got started into film or wherever you would like to start, just jump in.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. As Julie said, my name is Cara Adney. I have been with Meridian for about 17 years, and the last 13 had been in the marketing department, and so working on all of our internal and external school communications. As part of that, I had the opportunity to work very, very closely with the workforce and economic development team through the years. So several years ago, I would say maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, we really started having conversations around the state of the financial and economic impact of the entertainment industry, specifically the film industry here in Oklahoma. Oklahoma has been a hotbed for independent filmmakers for years, as well as larger studio productions. With the onset of streaming services, so we're looking at anything from like your HBO Max, your Netflix, your Amazon Prime videos, your Apple streaming, the need and the growth of content has just multiplied through the years. And so as a part of that, when films were coming or productions were coming to Oklahoma, we quickly realized that a critical element to make those productions work was missing, or the depth of element. And so I'm really talking about the crew. And so specifically all the people who do the work, either pre-production, during production, any element with getting everything set for the production to take place. We just did not have an expanded workforce to support the growth. The Meridian district, covers 10 sending schools. One of those happens to be Perry. And so Senator Chuck Hall out of our district was really instrumental in getting the conversations going at the legislative sessions, looking at the needs that this industry has, the economic impact for that, as well as starting those conversations on how to bring more productions to the state and how Career Tech can be a partner in training and building that workforce for that. So when we built our South Campus in Guthrie, all of our full-time career training programs still happen here at our Stillwater campus. Our South Campus is dedicated primarily to our workforce and economic development courses. It has an event space, a business incubator, but we also knew that because of the location in Guthrie, that if we were going to enter into the film crew training aspect, Guthrie was without a doubt the place that we needed to be. So at that point, the birth of the first Capitol Film Crew Institute started. It came along with that South Campus, and we started talking with producers, directors, cameramen, assistant directors, and the whole gamut to learn more about the industry, to learn what the needs are, to learn where there were gaps, and how Career Tech as a whole can help fill that gap and build that workforce so that we can have more productions coming to the state. So I worked on the projects from the marketing side and really learned alongside when we were creating this project alongside the individual before me. And so as he was learning about the process, he was educating me so that I could do the marketing pieces for it. And when the opportunity came, when this position opened, it was exactly, I think, what I needed when I needed it. And so I was able to transfer over officially to the Workforce and Economic Development Division and start leading the process for getting us growing.
Very good. I think that's awesome that you were able to be on the back end or the front end really of getting it
Mhm.
started, and now you're able to jump in and make it your baby, and just
Yes,
run with
yes,
it. That is so cool how things work out like that.
it is.
Just so you mentioned a lot of different occupations within the
Mhm,
film industry that you talked to get this First Capital Film Crew Institute going.
mhm.
So what does that look like as far as like class offerings wise?
So for us, right now, and I've learned to say with everything that we're saying, like right now, because we're shaping classes and course content based on what the industry needs. As that changes, we will change to move along with that to help that continued growth. Where the biggest gap is those below the line crew, and so or below the line staff. And so you're really looking at like the best way to explain it to people. Like when I told my mom that I was moving into this position, she was like, "So what exactly are you going to be doing?" And I told her, I was like, essentially, when the movie is over and everybody's starting to leave the theater and all the names start coming across the screen, those are the people that I'm trying to help build and to get them skills and trained so that we can keep doing productions here in Oklahoma. So for us, because this is such a new industry in Oklahoma and for career tech to take on training, one of the biggest courses that we've had so far is an introduction to film course. And so what that is so far it's been an 8-evening course where we have talked about everything from what it takes to be a production assistant, which is that entry level role in the industry that works with almost everyone on set. We have worked we've had classes in first and second assistant director, and so for me, like I had seen some of these titles but I never knew what they did. And so a key element I want to backtrack just a tiny bit, and that intro course really does break down all the departments, what their
Mhm.
roles are, what the requirements are for their job, what type of training that you need, and most importantly, like who you answer to on a film set. Because as someone like when you watch a movie, it just seems seamless. And so when we were going through the job breakdown, like when we got to a greens person, like you see that there are landscape and flowers and everything like that in a production, but I at least never stopped to think, I wonder whose job it was to do that and to set that up. And so that intro course really does give that broad view so that people who aren't familiar with the industry can really start to learn the production process, the hierarchy of jobs, and what could be next for them based on an area of interest that they have.
How
So
fascinating.
it has been like, as someone who's a learner, coming in and really having to ask a lot of questions about like, okay, so what does this job do and what does it take? And there's been so many surprises. And I think you and I have talked about this off camera before, but like one of the biggest surprises to me is that to work in the crew side of production, the one of the biggest things that you can do is just start. You don't have to have a whole lot of background. Like the more information that you have and the more experience that you have, obviously, the better suited that you are for things. But even moving into a technical role, like working in the grip department, which is going to be a support system for the electric. So they're going to be the individuals who are rolling out all the wires and making sure all the cords and cables and all of that. Because it worked in that division, when I first started, I thought, oh, we must be targeting like people who are electricians or anything like that. But the truth is, there's not. Like you're going to have those people to who are the apprentice, the journeyman, those certified people, but these are going to be those roles that are coming in. And so Chris asks, so yes, that is exactly what we're doing. We are training people for work for filmmakers and creating the local jobs. Our hope is that people will come to us, get their foundational experience because of our site location being there in Guthrie. Like my dream scenario is that they will move to a small production or a large production that is happening in Guthrie or somewhere else in our district, get that experience, spend a couple of years or a couple of productions, really honing their skills and learning maybe what they want to do next. And so that they will then move up that chain or up that hierarchy in the industry so that they can find a place to put their passion. So
That is awesome. What a great way to get an introduction to an industry. And I bet you don't watch a movie the same way now, do you?
I don't. And so far, I've sat through all of the classes because I'm learning right now just as much as what the students are. So all of our instructors are taught, all of our courses, pardon me, are taught by industry professionals, specifically Oklahoma industry professionals. And I think that's important as well because you can read online what a job is. You can learn a little bit just from some research about how and what is expected. But to learn from someone who is actually doing that or has done that is instrumental in really understanding what's going to be expected of you when you walk onto a set that is local to you. And so really having those connections and that experience, I think is really what sets us apart. And honestly, that is what sets Career Tech apart. In all of our full-time training programs, we use people we're electricians are now teaching our electrical course. And so it's the very same thing in these type of courses that we are using people who have a long industry profile from their work as assistant directors, producers, first and second assistant directors, both at the state level for production, but then many of them travel all over the United States working on productions, large and small. And so either from TV to movie or anything like that. And so somehow we have been very, very fortunate to capture some of the state's top instructors to teach our courses. We have a makeup series, Makeup for Film and TV, and Tony Marlowe teaches that course for us. And she has worked on large budget films. She has worked on many of the Taylor Sheridan productions. And so she has been traveling all over the United States with that, as well as the world. Some of our other assistant directors classes, they also have worked on large films that, in fact, two of our instructors actually are having a film that's going to be in Cannes at the end of this month. And so when you're talking about film festivals and reach, it really doesn't get much bigger than that. Taylor is asking if anyone can come to the classes without film experience. Of course, yes. That is what that intro class is designed to do, is to give you that foundational knowledge, to be able to plug you in to the area that you have a natural affinity to. I tell people, you may not know what you want to do, so to speak, but you know what you like and you know what you're good at typically. And so one of the things that I love most about the film industry is that it really is a shrunken down microcosm of anywhere in the world. And so every job that takes place in the world takes place on a film set. And so we're looking at anything from, as I mentioned, the production assistants who are going to be the people who are checking everything. We've got hair, makeup, security, medic, you have catering. And so looking at all of those ancillary support services that take place behind the scene so that what happens on the other side looks perfect. So
that's amazing. So you've talked quite a bit about what happens in like the intro to film class. Now the other one you mentioned is like the first and second assistant director, right? So is that also an intro class, or what does that class involve?
No, that is a class that you do have to have the intro to film or film experience. After sitting in that class, I would be completely honest and say having film experience will be much more beneficial to you. And so because what that class does is it uses a scheduling program. And so it's part of the pre-production element of a film. And so the first and second assistant director, they really are the people who keep everybody else in line. They're the people who set the time. They notify everyone what time they need to show up to set. They do the math and the calculations of how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B, whether that's going to be in the morning when an actor or your talent is going to be picked up, or when you're literally picking up every single element of your production and moving it to another site. And so they're going to be the people who do the magic logistics behind the scene to make time and money the most effective use of both of those entities. Because when you're looking at, even on a small film, anywhere from like 50 to 70 people, and then obviously when you get into those larger productions, you're going to be multiplying that tenfold for everything. And so time is money, and it's a lot of money that happens in that film industry.
No kidding. That is fascinating. Like, it's one of the things as a regular movie watcher, it's not something you think about behind the scenes. Who is keeping all those people in line and keeping the schedule and all that set change and everything. So that is super cool.
My husband and I, we were watching the season finale of Tulsa King, and not ruining any element of that, but there is a scene that involves some shooting and some blood. And the very first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, for every time that they have to reshoot that, they have to do new hair, they have to do new wardrobe, they have to do new makeup, like all the things that you don't think that start over every single time that a director calls cut and let's try that again, that goes behind that. And so, yeah, it's definitely changed the way that I've started watching films. But
no kidding. So, I know when we were talking pre-live, you mentioned another class that you're getting ready to offer to help people get to work in the film industry. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that class is going to be like?
Yeah, sure. We have an upcoming class that is actually going to be starting on June 13th and June 15th in the evening. And so that's one thing just to add in. Most of our courses take place in the evening, and we have a couple that are during the day just to the complexity and the length of time that it takes. But a majority of our short courses, or these film crew training courses, fall under our short course umbrella at the Tech Center system. And so they are going to be several hours at night, a couple nights a week. It all just depends on the content and how long that material needs to be sure that when you finish that you are ready to move on to a production set. So because just looking at this from a completely different angle, or trying to, let me say that, some of the things that I'm focused on is how to get people into the industry if it's not something that they grew up thinking that they wanted to do, but they're recognizing that either the skills that they already have are transferable to the film industry. As I mentioned, everything that takes place here takes place on the film industry, or they are interested in making, just learning more about it and wanting to jump in while there are a lot of productions taking place. But if you don't know how to start or how to get found, so to speak, we have a class that is going to be getting to work. It's called Getting to Work. I'm creating employment profiles for the film industry. And so Jordan Wilson, she is an acclaimed assistant director here in the state. She has put that content together for us. And so that's going to be like making sure that you have a current and up-to-date IMDb profile, that you are on the Film and Music Office website and those production listings. She's going to teach you a little bit about like how to market yourself as an independent contractor, because you kind of fall under that element in this industry quite a bit. And really talking about like how to network, places that there are to network, groups that you should be a part of if you're wanting to really get into this industry here in Oklahoma, and looking at how to just creating a digital resume, because it's completely different in the film industry. So much of it is what you've done and who you've worked with. And so that is one thing that I tell people that really sets our courses apart, is the fact that they're taught by industry instructors. So chances are, if you're doing well in the class and you're showing that you can show up on time and you're paying attention and you're grasping the concepts and can demonstrate what you're doing through your hands-on assignments or demonstrations in the class, that the goal and the hope is that when that instructor is working on a film production set and they need X, Y, and Z, that your name and your experience and your connection to both Meridian Technology Center as well as that instructor will help get you in the door and have that your phone ring to see if you're available to work on anything.
Yeah, Chris says, I never would have thought of Oklahoma having a film industry. I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And I think if you care to elaborate, so I pulled the description off the website about what
Mhm.
Oklahoma has to offer that, film people love. So what are
Mhm.
some of those things that highlight Oklahoma, Kara?
One of the biggest is we have a wide variety of ecosystems. So
Hmm.
you can go anywhere if you're starting in Guthrie or if you're starting in Oklahoma City or even in the Tulsa metro area with the productions that are taking place there. Within an hour or so drive, you can either have a host of lakes, you can have the rural population for any type of farmland, you can have an urban area, you can have the Little Sahara Desert. Just I think that we advertise as a state. We have 7 ecosystems within an hour drive of each other. And so, as I mentioned, like if a production is happening here, and it's going to need 3 or 4 different scenes. You literally have to pick up every element of it and transport it to that location. So if you can get everything that you need in an hour's drive, that just cuts so much down on the cost and the expense. And again, that time is money element. So that's one of the key things that Oklahoma has going for it. The other thing is it's still in the process of being revamped, but we have a very nice incentive package for productions coming into the state. And so it's a cash rebate. And so if a production comes in and they qualify, they have to apply through the Oklahoma Film and Music Office for financial assistance or this incentive package. And the more it really offers different tiers based on elements that you're selecting. So, like a percentage of hiring Oklahoma crew allows you to get a little bit more money back. If you're filming in a rural area, because we really are trying to promote all of Oklahoma and having people understand that the entire state is welcome to be your film set. And so there are different tiers with that. And so that's another key incentive or key reason that Oklahoma is really popping up into the film scene. The other is also our physical location in the United States. It's easy to get in and out of with 2 large metro. And if you're pulling either talent or very specific or those higher up roles coming in and out from either coast is beneficial for our location and bringing things to us. It's also affordable to live here and to work here. And so people recognize, that their dollar amount from the LA area goes a lot further here in the heartland. And so just really looking at the economic benefit for it as well. So
Very
So
good.
all we're
Yep.
needing now, I was going to say, all we're needing now is a little
Yeah.
bit more workforce to help support the productions that are coming into the state. So,
Yep. There you go. Not a flyover state, a fly to
no,
state. That's what we're
yes,
creating. Very
yes.
good. So I think you had something interesting that you were going to be able to offer with your first and second assistant director class coming up. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Which part are you talking about? Let me.
The hybrid?
Oh, okay, yes. So we're one of the few places that we're aware of that offer that first and second assistant director course, and that again is taught by Jordan Wilson at our facility in Guthrie, using the software that is industry specific, and so it's a Movie Magic software, a Movie Magic scheduling. We have become an education partner, and so what we hope that means for the industry as a whole is that leveraging technology that we will be able to offer this as a virtual or potentially even a hybrid class, depending on location for anyone. And so moving our first course that we'll be able to do that will actually start June 5th. And so what that opens up is that people who live in California who are interested in learning how to grow or to move into this industry, or people in Texas, or theoretically like anywhere around the world that anyone is interested in acquiring that skill set that's needed for that job, will be able to in real time participate virtually with Jordan in our classroom. And then if they choose to do this class, they do have to have that software. And so they'll have to have that on a laptop or on a computer for themselves. But the nice thing is because we're an education partner, to purchase that software outright is about $500 because of the education discount. In that partnership, we have it at $149, and so that is a terminal or it's an ongoing subscription. It's not an annual or anything like that. And so we're very optimistic because every time we offer this course, either I get at least 1 or 2 emails, and the instructor gets an email or 2 as well, from friends that she has in the network that are like, is there any way that I can do this from, Texas or from California or anything like that? And so working through that software provider, we have gotten everything worked out, and we are ready to move forward with our first virtual class element with that. So we'll still be offering everything in person in Guthrie. It's just a new way for us to be able to provide our services to those who can't be there in person. So
That's so exciting. I love that
I
we're able to
know.
utilize like industry technology to
Mm-hmm.
teach industry education to people, and to be able to have that not only in Oklahoma but across the nation as well. I think that's
Right.
really cool. So, and that's
And
one starts June 5th, right?
yes,
And is
that
that
will
is that a
go.
daytime class or is that an evening class?
That one is a daytime. It
Okay.
will go from 9 to 5 Central Time the first 3 days. And then because Oklahoma will be hosting Dead Center Film Festival, at the end of that week, we will pick up the week of the 13th or the 12th, pardon me, through the 16th. And so it's an 8-day course all day. We say it's a little bit self-paced because Jordan will go over everything. Then you will be given assignments to do to do the call sheets. You'll learn all the lingo and how to do all of the back end scheduling for everything. And so once you have your assignment, you'll work at your own pace for that. Jordan, the instructor, is there to kind of walk you through, to double check everything, to ask critical questions of understanding, like, so tell me why you chose to do this, and for logistic reasons and things like that. And so that will all happen in real time in the classroom. And so depending on how quick you pick everything up and your technology, your tech comfort level, that class, you might end at 4 some days, you might end at 5 some days. It just kind of depends for everything. But we're excited to be able to offer that and to expand that offering. So
Very cool. So we talked in depth about a couple different classes, but just kind of rapid fire, what are some of the other classes that we either have offered in the past or you're looking at offering in the future?
Okay. Just to be honest, we have our South Campus has been 1 year open. And so we have had a steady stream of the intro to film classes, the first and second assistant director, and we've just done a makeup course, a beginner's makeup course for film and TV. And so as we're looking ahead, that's where we're really in the process of bringing on new course content, new instructors, with that. And so right now we have in development, curriculum development for an introduction to screenwriting course, submitting to film festivals. And so it's going to be like strategy and the process and the timeline of submitting to film festivals. And then how to produce your first short film. So those will be coming on board quickly. Our content should be ready at the beginning of June for that. And then it's going to be just a matter of trying to find when our instructor is not actually doing a film project of his own. And we'll be able to balance that teaching element of it. One thing that we're doing that I think is a little bit different is, in addition to trying to build that film workforce, that crew workforce, we're also, as a school and as a system, really committed to economic development. And so that looks like that job training that we're doing in one aspect, but we're also focusing on how can we equip communities to help them capitalize when a film is coming to their town. And so some of the classes that we'll be working on for this year is one truly called How Small Businesses Can Benefit When a Big Budget Film Comes to Town. And we're working with someone to be able to put together content on catering to the film industry. So just really understanding what their needs are physically. I mean, it's a very, very physical job. And so you want to be sure that you're giving the right type of nutritional support for the on-screen talent, but also those people who are the physical labor aspect of it with the crew. And so, someone who is holding a boom mic for 10 hours has a little bit different nutritional needs and that for that stamina than someone who is going to be on screen. And so looking at how restaurants and catering companies can better serve the film industry and get those contracts to keep that economic impact in our district. So some of the other classes that
I would say that yet another aspect of the industry like us regular people would have never even thought of. That is just fascinating, and I love it.
I wouldn't have. So when a film comes to town, you really are looking from anything from dry cleaners to restaurants to small boutique stores, because they're going to need, clothing and wardrobe. You're going to need props. All of that has the potential to be purchased in the community that the film is filming in, if the resources are there and if those connections are in existence for things. And so we really want to try to do that all-encompassing element on how it can benefit to create a workforce to support film, but also have that business side and what can put them in the best position to be able to benefit and to be kind of a film-friendly business, so to speak, and so that they come top of mind when a film is coming to town and when there are needs for that. Some of the other classes that we have coming up are going to be looking for a locations course, so that there's a huge demand when films are coming into an area, to be able to pick and to identify shooting locations. Again, we are going to be doing the script writing one, as well as more of a personal interest of how to become an extra in a film. And so if it's not necessarily something you want as a full-fledged career, something you can do to just tiptoe into the industry, so to speak. So
I wondered if you had the extra courses or how to be an extra. I see those like casting calls like on Facebook all the time. It's like, what does it actually take to do that?
You'll be surprised. So we have a class coming up in that in both June and July, and I'm certain that it'll be offered again in the fall. We are actually working with someone locally here in Stillwater that is open to teaching a course here in Stillwater for becoming an extra, as well as like if your kid wants to be an extra, what you need to know as a parent if your child is interested in that. And so that is something that we're going to be offering, hopefully in both locations. But all of our course offerings are in real time at meridiantech.edu/firstcapital. One thing I would just like to say too is that when we talk about courses and we talk about cost, sometimes dollar signs start. And so I just want to let people know that all of these courses are very affordable. For instance, like our extra course is $25. Getting to work in the film industry is $29. The most expensive class that we have right now is $300. And again, that is for an 8-day, 9-to-5 class. And so to get into the film industry, that intro to film course is $250. And so you truly can break into an industry and really start making those connections and understanding where your path might lead for as little as $250. Melinda is asking, do all of the questions have an option to attend virtually? No, not at this time. Right now, that intro class, we are going to try to figure out how we can make that a hybrid option. And so there are some critical hands-on elements of learning how to do and how to physically use some of the equipment that we've got to just work out some logistics for and see how we can capitalize on tech to help make that happen. But again, all of our courses are at meridiantech.edu/firstcapital.
Very good. Well, Cara, thank you so much. I can tell you're passionate about this topic. I mean, we went probably 33 minutes with hardly any breaks. So I love how passionate you are about it. Thank you for doing this job, because it's obviously making a big impact on our district and on Oklahoma. And of course, thank you for being my guest on the Ascent. So
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting, letting us know you're here. Mark your calendars for our next LinkedIn Live for the Ascent, which will be the first Friday in June, which I should have looked this up before I started to go live, which will be Friday, June 2nd. And I think as of right now, I am going to be my guest that day talking about the 6 types of working genius. So that will be super fun. So I hope you guys can make it on June 2nd. And you guys all take care and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks, Julie. All right.